So hello, it's Jessie David from Metal Wani. I'm here with Dez, frontman of DevilDriver. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No worries. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you're releasing your upcoming album, Dealing with Demons Volume 2. And I have to say it drops May 12th. We're all excited for it. But the first installment, I was so impressed. It's such a monster of an album. How would you say that Volume 2 compares?
Well, I mean, I've even said this in the beginning, is that Volume 2 is my favorite out of the bunch. It's very difficult, first of all, to record a double record and not have the second volume be all B-sides and leftovers. I'd say 90% of the bands that record a double record, that's what happens with the second installment. This thing is just more volatile, more visceral, more poignant lyrically. However, I love Volume 1. We took some chances on that, which really helped. That record came out either number 3 or number 4 over the course of the year, right behind Lamb of God and Testament. So very proud of that. But this record has something extremely special to it. It's like the ending of the big ball game, really. And it finishes off with a bang. I think the singles that we're releasing are getting a ton of traction. We've been getting 10 out of 10s out of this record. And it's just good to see, because this thing has been on ice for about 2 years. And there's just nothing worse than art sitting around when you can't put it out to people. So yeah, we're very pleased. This thing, it's a monster of a record. I think people are really going to enjoy it, and it's definitely capping off Volume 1 completely.
Well, I know the idea here was to release both albums sort of back to back, and of course the pandemic delayed a few things. So with so much time in between releases, did you find that you were nitpicking at all?
I mean, I did. I've rarely changed sequences so much. Volume 2, I changed the sequence 3 times, that is a lot. The guy that mastered the record actually asked me on the 3rd time, "Is this it, Des?" Because I don't want to do this again. It's not just a simple change around. It's literally a 3-hour job. And I changed the opening track 3 different times and finally stumbled upon I Have No Pity and was like, okay, this needs to open the record. So yeah, I did have enough time to make changes, live with it, but essentially way too much time. I'm used to getting a record done and getting it out there. So again, it was on ice for about 2 years, and it's just good to share it with everybody.
I'm really glad you mentioned the song I Have No Pity. So before I listened to Volume 2, I had to go back and listen to Volume 1 again just to get a good feel for it. And with Dealing with Demons Volume 1, the album finishes off with the track Scars Me Forever. And I felt that it transitions almost perfectly into I Have No Pity. Was that planned? Was it written with that in mind?
You know, this was written in mind, and I will tell you that these records they're short for a reason, 36 minutes, 38 minutes, respectively, and they're meant to be listened to back to back. It's literally meant to be one record, and I think that the track listing, the sequencing was very important to both of these records, and I think Have No Pity follows up that song really great, and the first song on Dealing with Demons too.
It's definitely a banger. I mean, right through the gate, it grabs your attention. What is the song itself about, I Have No Pity?
Yeah, I was asked that a lot. Like who do you have no pity for? And my answer is you and me. Anybody who steps in the shit more than once. Right. So anybody who, I have friends that call me, so-and-so did this to me. And I say, well, this is how you're going to deal with it. They call me, a second time. Well, so-and-so did this again. And by the time you call me the 3rd time, my line to even my best of friends is, bro, I have no pity for you. Like, you keep going back to the well. You keep going back to where you're getting smacked in the face. So that's what that song is about. It's about, once you learn your lesson, try to not learn it twice. And if you learn it 3 times, just realize you're dumb.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Now, Des, you're also a family man. I mean, you've worked with your sons as well. On the last album, Simon was featured on it. Does he make an appearance at all for Volume 2?
No, Simon doesn't appear on either of these records, but he's sang on, I think, 2 or 3 DevilDriver records. He's been guesting since he was 9 years old. Yeah. You can actually go on YouTube, and he sound checked for me on the last tour that we did with Cradle of Filth, the co-headline run. He was up there sound checking every day because he was out on the road with me. So yeah, I'm Italian. I've got 3 sons. I tend to work with my family a lot. We're a real tight knit group. My middle son Caleb runs our company Sun Cult. which is in like 700 Zoomy stores and now going to Tilly's. My youngest works with a lot of content creation for the bands that we manage over here at the Oracle, as well as he's a singer and getting ready to drop his record, I would say beginning of next year. Sounds a lot like me, chip off the old block. I mean, he can go out. I could hand him DevilDriver and he could go out and do it.
That's very cool. It's very cool that you have that relationship. That is awesome. You know, this album is a monster, and a lot of songs off of Volume 2, they grabbed my attention, but there was one that I sort of kept going back to, and that song for me was Summoning. Can you tell me about that track?
Right. So, you know, those points in your life when and everybody has them, it doesn't matter if you're a grocery store worker or a singer in a band, you have low moments. And those times when you have extremely low moments in your life, that's when you need to summon up what you need to get you out of where you're at. And that's what that track is about. It's like when it's time to summon up everything and get on with it. I have a line in a previous DevilDriver record that's, you know, dust yourself off and go it again. I'm very much like that in my personal life. I was raised extremely blue collar, hardworking, left home early on in my age. And I've always just kind of stuck to my guns and managed to summon up what I needed to at the time. So that's what that's about.
There's a lot of songs I'm looking forward to hearing live, one of those being Mantra. I mean, that is a headbanger right there. Is there a song off the album that you're looking forward to performing live?
I'm looking forward to, I'd like to perform both of these records in their entirety. And I have no doubt that within the next, 24 months, that will be done. There's just something special about what we're doing with these records. I had another journalist actually say to me, and actually from Germany, which is, if people don't know, Germany is extremely critical on their metal. And this guy said to me, Des, I got to be honest with you. And I'm not pulling any punches. I think this is the best record you guys have ever done. And if this is where you're going, I look forward to the next 4, 5, 6, 7 DevilDriver records. So there's something happening with the sound that we have found right now at this point in our career. I'd like to continue that in the future.
I have to agree. I mean, I've been a fan for a while, and this sound right here, I think it is one of my favorites. And you guys have been making music for quite some time now. What do you think the future looks like?
Future looks bright. So bright, I gotta wear shades right now. I mean, it's unbelievable. Look, I say it like this, and I'm I come from a very appreciative, humble attitude, because if you have more than 2 years in this business, 3 to 4 years in this business, you should thank your lucky stars. If you get 4 to 7 years, 2 to 3, 4 records in this business, you should get on your knees until they bleed and thank the universe. I've just happened to have almost 30 years in the business, and now with my previous band, Cold Chamber, almost 16 records. This is DevilDriver's 10th record, and like I said, the Volume 1 came out and debuted extremely high in the United States over the course of the year. So I look not back too much. I tend to just look forward. Although, and this is a plug, sometime between June and August, I've got an autobiography coming out that's actually done, edited. It's going to be on Rarebird Books. And that was the time I had to actually look back at my childhood, look back at where I've been and what I've done. Otherwise, I tend to not look back and look forward. That being said, I think that DevilDriver has a sound right now that's extremely forward thinking. And we're lucky. We're one of these kinds of bands, and there's not many of them out there in the metal genre, that we're not held to the fire by our fans. And by that, I mean, I could name 10 big metal bands right now that have to stay like Coca-Cola, have to keep their brand the same. If they change, if they branch out, if they do a song
and
like we
lose
did,
it.
They will lose it. Everybody will leave. Everybody will unfollow them on social media. Where on Dealing with Demons 1, we can do a song like Wishing, which is plainly an homage to my Sisters of Mercy, Bauhaus, goth background. And instead of the fans, there was clean vocals on this record, we're out of here, I heard more of, we want more of this. We want more of what you're doing here. So I'm very grateful for that. I don't know why our art is so different and why we're not held to the fire like other metal bands, but I'm sure appreciative of it. It allows us to come out of the box and do what we want. And here's the thing. If you listen to DevilDriver, go back and listen to the first, second, third, fourth record, they're nothing like the fifth, sixth record. Dealing with Demons 1 and 2 is nothing like Fury of Our Maker's Hand or The Last Kind Words. Actually, The Last Kind Words is getting compared to Dealing with Demons 2. And that record is a real volatile, visceral monster. So it's pretty cool and pretty strange as well that we have this ability as a team to move our sound forward and not get held to the fire like that by the fans of metal. So I'm very appreciative of that. And if you've been listening to us for a while, like, thank you. That's where my heart comes from, truly.
Now, you mentioned Cold Chamber, and I do want to touch base on that. But first, let's talk about this autobiography that you said has a release date around June, July, August, around that area. Do you have a name for it yet?
Yes, I do. I'm not going to put it out there yet.
That is fair. That is completely
yeah, actually,
fair.
I don't know. Anastasia, have we let that out yet? No, we have not. So it's actually a 2-book deal. My wife, we've been together almost 25 years, is my manager. She got a 2-book deal. This one is from my youth through Cold Chamber, and people will really get to know like who I am and what I've been through. Like they're going to see. They're going to see a side of me. I'm probably one of, if not one of the most private people in this industry. At this time, I think after this long, I think people have to get to know now who I am and really get to know like, wow, this is what your childhood was like. This is where you come from, like to know where I'm going. So yeah, we look forward to the release of that book, and we're actually working on the DevilDriver book now because it's a 2-book deal. One is my youth through Cold Chamber, and then the DevilDriver years. And the stories are just insanity. And again, people will get a feel of who I am, why I am who I am, why I am so private, why I just stick really to my family and a few close friends, why you don't see me out at the Grammy parties and this and that. Because I don't really like those things, right? I like to make art. I like to get on stage, but all of the other side stuff around rock and roll, really, I'm not into, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And I don't do well in a big group of people. I'm an empath. I can walk in the room. I can smell the bullshit a mile away. So, I think people are going to get, they're going to get a gist of who I am through this book. And I'm real proud. Once it was done and we read it, it's 8 chapters. There's tears in my eyes, to be honest with you. So I think it's going to be, it's going to be very forthright, very telling. And that's the way I came out. It's just very honest and open.
Oh, it sounds really exciting. And honestly, Dez, I don't know how you are juggling everything right now, because between the autobiography, the DevilDriver book as well, and then the bands, because Reunited, Cold Chamber, how has that reunion been so far?
It's been incredible. I mean, first, let me address like how I'm juggling this, right? So there was 3 years off for us. I haven't had more than 6 months off, 3 months. I haven't had more than 3 months off since 1993. Okay. Period. End of story. So in late 2019, I had to tear down all of my touring because my wife had to go through cancer surgeries. And of course, I wasn't going to work. We all got behind her as a family on that. In 2020, 21, obviously the pandemic, late 2021, I contracted COVID and almost died. And this is how Cold Chamber got back together. My wife was calling my friends, those of whom are also Cold Chamber, and saying, hey, you better call Dez. The EMTs were just here again. I don't know how long he has. He might pass away. You might want to say some things to him. And they did. They called me. And indeed, they checked on me daily for a year. I had to take all of 2022 off. I was actually living downstairs in my living room. I couldn't navigate my stairs. I couldn't even walk across the street without sitting down for 20 minutes. It affected my heart in a horrible way. They were going to have to do open heart surgery and all sorts of other things. And I won't go into how I healed myself holistically, but I did. Finally going for nuclear tests and everything on my heart. And they were like, hey, you did it. You healed yourself after the course of almost 16 months. So why am I juggling so much? Well, because I had 3 years off, and I literally had 3 years off in my life. I lost 3 years. Everybody else lost 2 years of their life having to sit inside the house. I lost 3. And now it's time to kind of do double duty and get moving. I always say to Anastasia, I'm done October 28th, because we're getting ready to release also another second leg with Cradle of Filth, DevilDriver co-headlining in the United States. I'm done October 28th, and then, I'm going to take probably 3 or 4 months off. But that's why I'm doing such double duty right now. And I got to tell you, it's a pleasure. I'm not the kind of guy, like right now as I'm speaking to you, I'm pacing, right? Like I'm not the kind of guy who can sit around. I'm not a TV guy. I probably watch an hour of TV once a week. So I'm either painting, I'm sculpting, I'm writing, I'm recording. I'm constantly busy. And if I'm not happy. I'm actually the kind of guy, like, people, well, why don't you relax? Well, if I relax, I'm stress laxing, because I feel like time is of the essence.
Yeah.
Time is of the essence. Use your time wisely on this planet. Sure, there's times you want to just kick back in the sun and relax for a minute. I get it. But when that goes day after day, or let's say week after week, you're going to get in a funk. You're going to get depressed. And like, I don't fall into those kind of things easy. So I tend to keep myself extremely busy. And those around me know that I'm better. I'm a better father. I'm a better human when I'm busy. So yeah, thank God that I have that gene in me. Plus, I suffer from ADD and ADHD my whole life, so I can multitask. I run, 4 massive companies with my family, and I think ADHD is like a superpower to me. I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. It drove my wife crazy. It drove my mom it drove my mom insane when I was younger, because, I'd go to bed at 8 or 9, I'd be up at 1 or 2 walking around the house. So, when you have that kind of thing happening, you have to keep yourself busy or you fall in a funk. So yeah, I'm taking on a lot this year. And, my wife always likes to tell me, one thing at a time. So I just concentrate on one thing at a time. Like, I'm leaving today after this to go take over Serious Liquid Metal with Jose, and do a takeover. Friday we do a video, and then the next thing is playing Sick New World with Cold Chamber, which is going to be incredible. System of a Down, Porn, Deftones. I mean, let me just go down the line.
Stacked lineup right there. It's going to be truly, like, that is going to be awesome. And it's always great seeing you again with Cold Chamber. It's great. For me, that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, that band right there.
Thank you.
So much going on. Are you guys planning to release anything new with Cold Chamber?
I don't know. And this happened really organically. Like, they checked on me daily. And after about a year, one of them, I don't know who it was, either Meigs or Mike, finally said, "Hey, we should do some shows." And I was like, we get along so well. You guys all have your shit together. We're all family people now. Like, I'd rather just be friends than put that thing at risk by doing music together. And when it became apparent that none of those things that existed previously would ever do that, we decided to do shows. And obviously we announced a few other shows, Blue Ridge, Incarceration being one of them, and then Sick New World. Then we said, okay, we're just going to do 3 shows this year. Let's just have the families out, bring the kids. Let's, bring this thing together organically. And then Mudvayne called. So we're like, okay, an amphitheater tour in the summertime, back with Mudvayne and a bunch of other killer bands. It's like, let's go. Let's say yes, So yeah, I'm glad. This is the band that made me. I never ran away from it because of the music. I left because of the inner struggle, I should say. And some things were going on with those guys. They needed to get their shit straight, right? I had a wife and 3 young kids. I couldn't mess around. I had to keep my shit professional and keep moving. And that's why I bailed out. But now, of course, looking back, do I regret any of that? No. But moving forward, I don't think any of those things are in the way. Any of those obstacles are in the way. And I think it's just going to be a great time. We're already rehearsing. The set sounds amazing. I caught my wife peeking into my studio yesterday when I was singing Rowboat, and she had a huge smile on her face. And, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. And let's celebrate music. Let's celebrate the band that, gave me my career, made me who I am. So
100%. So my very last question for you. If you met someone who had never listened to DevilDriver before, what song would you show them first to introduce them to the band?
Oh, what a great question. And one that I've never been asked before.
Good. I like that.
I would say go listen to, can I have a few? I would say, I would say go listen to Clouds Over California or End of the Line. So it's something from our earlier records, just so you can get a gist of what we do. When we first came out, we could not explain ourselves. And there's so many influences going on in this band. I was raised on psychobilly and goth and punk rock way before metal. Mike, my guitar player, is an industrial guy, anything with Ministry and this and that, right? So we have so many influences that I don't know where to point people, right? But I would say those two songs will give you kind of an indication of what we do. And in the beginning, we couldn't figure out who we were, which is a great thing for art, right? When you can't pin it down. And our fans started to say, you guys are groove metal, you're groove. And they started calling us the California Groove Machine. And I was like, you know what? I hate monikers. I saw it with new metal. I was like, but I embraced it. Now the odd thing is, I mean, you see like power metal bands, prog bands, like all hashtagging groove metal. And it's like, no, you're not groove. So what we are is something you can definitely bob your head to. We love it 4 on the floor, which is the beat. We want it to move you. Very few songs of DevilDriver don't have like that kind of a groovy kind of drums and beat and guitar to it. So I would just explain us as, a band that wants to make you get up and drive fast if you're listening to it in your car. Really, I'm glad we don't fit in. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm really glad we don't fit in. I think, and going back to the previous answer and question that we had before, I think that's what helps us to not play our brand like Coca-Cola, right? And there are a lot of projects out there right now where they know, I give the analogy of a painter. If you know that painting with blue and red paint is going to sell you millions of paintings, and that's all you do is paint with blue and red paint, like you're not much of an artist, right? So I think, us not being held to the fire of that and being able to just do what we want. I mean, I think that's artistically what's taken us this far to the 10th record, when most bands on their 10th record are like, they're done, let's face it. And we're far from that at this point. It almost feels like an insane resurgence on these last 2 records with DevilDriver. So I'm real proud of the work ethic of the guys behind me. I've always surrounded myself with great musicians. I have a great team in Napalm Records. All of my press people, my metal radio people, all of them are great. And like I said, I'm out of here today to go take off and go take over Serious Liquid Metal. So yeah, it's been a ride, and I'm real proud of what's going on with this record.
Dealing with Demons Volume 2, it drops May 12th. This album is awesome. And honestly, I'm so excited for your fans and for everyone else to listen to this album. Thank you, Dez, so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support, and hi to everybody.
Absolutely. All right. We are good to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, you as well. Cheers.
Bye-bye.